Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Gonzii and today we're going to be reacting to a brand new casual geographic video called You've Never Seen Animals Like This Before. So yeah man, let's go and check this out. Let's get it.
Ma, come outside, there's a moose or a buffalo or some they're fighting.
What is that? Let's see how many we know. Let's see. Whoa.
Do you know what this is?
No.
I bet you don't. Chances are, most of you have never seen this tree chunk before. I'll tell you in a second, but first, quick question. If you had to take a blind guess, how many species of mammals do you think are in the world?
Yo, my bro is jacked. Come on, lad.
Imagine what number that would add up to. The answer? 6,495. And counting, and that's just
I did not know that.
Animals in general.
That's a lot of animals, bro.
Which brings me to my next point.
Armageddon, like that.
Armadillo.
Illuminati from Madagascar. What the is that?
A lemur.
From Madagascar. Something from the Bronx. Oh, that's super nasty. One of the is right there on 14th Street.
That was a sloth before.
This man is a wordsmith. Laugh at my man's all you want, but understand if school doesn't teach it to you and you don't see it in a zoo or on National Geographic, and it's not the animal of the week on Reddit, you'd have no way of knowing some animals even exist.
True.
Which is why I can personally guarantee that you haven't seen or heard of all 10 animals in this video. You might know 3 or 4. Animal Planet veterans might get 6 or 7, and hey, some of y'all might know 8 just from watching long enough. But I promise you there's gonna be at least one animal I talk about that you've never heard of before. I put that on my hairline, and I wear this hat every video for a reason. So let's make a game out of it. If I show you something new, you lose, and you gotta comment what animal was the one to scare you.
Let's get it.
90% of y'all, the game ends right here. Because what do you think this is?
Damn.
Some kind of monkey? Maybe an obese lemur or an AI-generated sloth? You're not gonna believe this. It's a koala. Okay, not really, but koala's actually closer than anything else I said. This porky, dead-eyed struggle monkey is the bear cuscus, and despite looking like nature made it on a deadline with spare parts, it's actually a marsupial. This thing that looks like a Madagascar understudy is more related to kangaroos, devils, and quokkas than it is to any lemur. That's about as much as we know about them because we haven't been able to figure out much more. They've essentially been gatekept from the rest of the world, only found on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi and remote islands nearby. We have no clue how many overstuffed tree chunguses or chungai are in circulation, and currently only 4 zoos have this monkey.
It's a fascinating name.
Even its name is an identity crisis since cuscus means possum, meaning on paper, you're looking at a bear possum. But its Latin name is Allorops ursinus, and I didn't take Latin in high school because French was too sexy, but I'm pretty sure that means cat bear. Basically, not even science had a handle on how the koala was. And they have the same meal plan.
Look at him, he's so jacked, bro.
They virtually spend their entire lives on quarter playback speed. In fact,
why is bro flexing like that? The animal, bro.
63% resting. That's 16 hours a day eating and recovering from eating. That is load management, and that is this tree chonk a load. They'd probably be cute if their eyes didn't disturb me on a spiritual level.
Those eyes are weird.
This is a cuscus that has seen some shit. And clearly they never recovered since they're painfully shy and will even cover themselves with leaves if they see you first since they're terrified of humans and only live in the most isolated areas of the forest.
Don't blame me, lad.
It's the Lud bear cuscus, and they're a lot cuter, but it also looks like a wombat that got severely laced. But with them being highly rare,
those ones are cute.
Introverts, it makes sense that you've probably never seen them before. But the next animal is probably the biggest one you've never heard of. This animal has been called 6 dissimilarities, and it's because it honestly looks like a wildebeest, buffalo, bear, and friends all did a fusion dance, and this was the outcome. This absolute unit is the takin, and they can stress the scales at up to 800 pounds of pure confusion. The takin is essentially a giga goat, with their closest relatives being the mountain goat and the chamois. And yes, the mountain goat isn't an actual goat because that makes sense. The Sichuan takin actually shares a range with the giant panda, and they use that nose to heat up air before it hits their lungs. That nose job of necessity also makes it look like a moose that got too cocky with a beehive. Which is no joke how they were first described.
That's so cute, bro.
I won't do this for every animal, but its Latin name, Budorcus taxicolor, means badger-colored cowox. Interesting. Takins also sweat oil that smells like burning rubber, and they use this to mark their territory. They're not known menaces, but they do have their moments. In 2007, a takin broke into a man's house and injured him and 8 other people, one of them a pregnant woman. And in 2018, during a routine visit from the vet, a takin decided he wasn't having it anymore, busting out his enclosure doors and wandering the zoo for an hour, injuring 2 workers in the process. Basically, he's not a killer, but don't push him. Same thing with the next animal on this list.
That's so
the
cute,
second
man.
biggest creature you've never heard of. Because the tapir is endowed in more ways than one. But we'll get to that. Guidelines willing. It's a giant plus-size river pig that's actually closer to horses, rhinos, and wild asses. Oh,
Everybody
and
knows what
they're also the
a
national
tapir
animal of
is, bro.
Belize. Shout out to Belize if y'all out there.
It is.
There's 4 types of tapirs, and the Malaysian one might
Cute.
just strike a nostalgia
Very
nerve if you
cute,
ever
bro.
played Pokemon. 'Cause
Very
Drowsy
cute.
was actually based on the travel-sized
Yeah,
rodeo
look at
elephants of
that.
Asia. According to mythology, this tapir was associated with the Japanese Baku, and the Baku were said to feed on the dreams of people, especially nightmares. The IRL tapirs are pretty chill for what they are.
They
Even though
are.
They can get into the neighborhood of 700.
Look at that, bro.
But they
Cute.
have the dental facilities to bite clean through your arm, so they're definitely one of those F around and find out animals. One family found out when a tapir nearly ripped a 2-year-old in half during a supervised visit in a Dublin zoo. For the
Damn.
most part, this boneless river rhino is just a flaccid-faced, gentle giant that I kind of wish the world was more aware of. I mean, just look at the teeth on this little guy.
Cute.
You can't tell me that's not cute.
That's
Speaking
cute.
of babies and where they come from, tapirs must have made a deal with the devil we don't know about, since they have a 5th leg long enough to use as a tripod or as a DIY back scratcher. When it comes to
Damn.
herbivorous mammals of the world, the tapir is the real cock of the walk. And to cleanse your eyes from that unsolicited salami stick, I give you the sensei bunny. It's actually a rodent called a viscacha, and its closest relative is the chinchilla.
Mega
But
cute,
sensei bunny
bro.
just makes sense. Especially since this is
Look
their
at
default pose. And it's cause where viscachas live is Chile.
Bro,
It's
if
also
I show
got
this
clothes,
animal
so they
to my
spend every morning
sister,
sunbathing
she's going
and waiting to
crazy,
provide
bro.
advice to anyone who
Crazy.
requires it.
Look
Also,
at
I really wish
him.
I didn't waste that chili
That's
stuff
a
earlier.
chunky boy.
Come on, it's right there.
It is,
and
bro,
the reason
it
they look
is.
like a vertically cheated but horizontally defeated obese wallaby is because, like the chinchilla, the viscacha has some of the densest fur on the planet. Also, I'll be honest, I knew about the viscacha. I did not know they could move like that. That's an actual sleeper build.
Damn.
No, like literally, they look like they were built to sleep when they're not passing judgment. This is the look of an animal whose natural predator is a P-test. Brother is faded. But yeah, that's a viscacha. And by the way, if you
Cute.
didn't lose the game already, this next animal almost guarantees you will. Cause yeah, there is an animal in this picture, and it's possibly the cutest thing most people know nothing about. And that's cause not only is this animal nocturnal and lives in the Amazon equivalent of a penthouse, during the day, it's sleeping in the silk cotton tree camouflaged as a seed pod fiber. And that's how the silky anteater got its name. Because when your biggest ops are eagles with some of the best vision on earth, that is the best you can do. Like the rest of the anteater family, they have claws. And unlike their cousin the sloth, they actually know how to use them. A sleeping silky will nap with its 4 legs and claws right next to its face. Really not that different from dozing off with a knife under your pillow. They also can eat 5,000 ants a day, and they use that sticky barbed tongue to skewer and
never
trap
seen that
their protein.
before.
And since anteaters have 0 teeth, they have stomachs like bird gizzards designed to grind the ants down. Proof that
Damn.
beauty is subjective, because what's cute to us is a harbinger of death and genocide if you're an ant. But I'm not an ant, and you probably aren't either, so let's just take some time to marvel
know
at
if
this
cute is the
pocket-sized
right
face
word.
brand sloth.
Bro's
It's not the only
interesting,
token from
that's
South
it.
America on this list. Q the Hollow Knight. This might look like a regular run-of-the-mill bird, but this little dude has one of the coldest pickup lines in the game.
Weird sound, bro.
That is a club-winged manakin singing a love song with his
Very
feathers.
pretty.
Basically, this small bird from Central and South America has modified flight feathers, and by vibrating them, the manakin shoots a shot with a specialized sound that varies by bird. Some manakins do a solid violin impression, others sound like fireworks on the 4th of July. Also, they make this sound by shaking their feathers 100 times a second, twice as fast as the mascot for ADHD, the hummingbird. And they do all this while dancing. They're really the Michael Jackson of birds. I'm not even gonna pretend like I know everything. I didn't even know they existed until like a week ago. And if it wasn't for a certain holiday, this next animal might not exist, period. Also, I know the whole crab thing has kind of become a meme, but we're gonna have to talk about how many animals endgame is a rabbit. This is the second animal.
Yeah, I knew
that
this.
isn't
I've
even
seen it in a
remotely related to
previous
them.
video.
It stole most of their design. The
No,
bilby is
no,
another marsupial.
I saw that one- the
This
other
and
one that's
snow-like
showing
bilby
it,
are
not this
basically
one.
family. The
I don't
greater
know
bilby
this
can
one.
be found in the harsh, arid deserts of Australia. Now you might be asking, is there a lesser bilby? And yeah, there was. And now they're dead. So
Damn.
clearly not good enough. The greater bilby's not that far behind since they're endangered, which is pretty wild for
course
an
they
animal
are.
that only gets pregnant for 2 weeks. Not
Damn.
even exaggerating, at about 14 days, bilbies have one of the shortest cook times of any animal. They're also a close relative of the bandicoot. Yeah, that's a real animal, the more you know. But yeah, greater bilbies used to inhabit 70% of Australia, and today they're barely holding on to less than 20. And a big reason was humans airdropping threats like foxes and feral cats.
Makes
But
sense.
these days the word's been getting out about the plight of the appropriation bunny, and they can thank the sale of chocolate bilbies on Easter. Easter bilbies started in '93, and they've been part of the culture
Aw.
ever since. It's only right that they replace
Cute.
rabbits, since rabbits are one of the things that got the bilby population in the mud. But today, there's well over 3,000 of them. Not great, but they're not in the worst spot. They're not as
Okay.
down bad as animal number 8, since there's only hundreds of them left on the planet.
Damn.
Nobody would blame you if you went your entire life without seeing it, since they're shy, endangered, and the only place you can find them is in special underground caves in the Balkans. The Olm is a salamander that's blind, vampire pale, and happens to be one of the most fundamentally confusing
salamander
animals in the world. First of all, they're not born blind, but they lose their eyes a couple months after they're born and even grow a layer of skin over them. Yet they can still detect and avoid light. The Olm can go a whole decade without food by storing important nutrients.
That looks wrong,
Usually,
bro.
when you talk about animals that live the longest, you're looking at relatively bigger creatures like elephants, whales, and tortoises. This tiny blind salamander has a lifespan more comparable to us at about 70 years, and scientists believe they can max out at well over a century. For reference, there might be an Olm salamander right now that's alive when World War I
ugly, man.
The reason for this is, unlike Archduke Ferdinand, the Olm has 0 enemies. There was even one on record that straight up didn't move for a whole 7 years.
Damn.
The Manakin Challenge was in 2016. Bro just never stopped playing. Olms don't be rushing for anybody.
Bro has no ops,
once
bro.
a decade to get laid. Yeah, they only breed about once every 12 years, which is probably why there's only an estimated 400 in stock. They done protected their piece so much that their whole community finna rest in it. And for animal number 9, you're gonna have to hear me out. Hyenas aren't unknown at all, but out of the 4 species of them, the brown hyena is by far the rarest and least talked about. Which sucks, because they're actually one of my favorite predators in Africa, because I love me an underdog. They're not
He needs a trim, bro, like me, bro. He needs a trim.
Their own spotted cousins. Not to mention wild dogs and jackals can get their licks in on their cubs. But brown hyenas are also major kleptos that'll pocket kills from their competition. Sometimes they'll body a 5v1 against cheetahs and walk away with their food and their pride. 2 things I think are pretty dope about them is 1, even though they're not dogs, brown hyenas have a social structure a lot like a wolf pack with the 2 parents and all their kids. Number 2 is that they managed to turn an abandoned town into a nursery. There's an old ghost town in the Namibian desert that has no trace of humans, yet brown hyenas use the desolate houses and empty mines as dens to keep their kids in while they go
Wow, that's cool.
Which can mean up to 20 miles of walking a day. One famous hyena mother has apparently lived in these forgotten ruins for 15 years and even raised 9 generations of cubs and counting. Moral of the story, hyenas deserve better, and Simba really ain't shit for putting them out like this. But that ain't even close to how hard humanity has violated the last animal here. This isn't a raccoon, skunk, or a cat. It's one of the members of the cat side of the carnivore family, specifically called feliform, which makes this result of an over-the-hedge orgy more related to hyenas than they are to the raccoons they cosplay as. The African civet is only one of over a dozen species of civets seasoned across Africa and Asia. The raccoon colorway is actually a form of camouflage, since the patterns break up their outline and makes it harder to spot them in the bush. You might not have seen them in the flesh and fur, but you might have heard about them, especially if you drink coffee, because the world's most expensive coffee, Kopi Luwak, is made from the coffee beans found in the poop of the Asian civet. How they literally put 2 and 2 together to come up with that, I don't want to know. And of course, this demand can lead to civets being captured, caged, and force-fed coffee beans in order to supply. Full disclosure, I don't drink coffee, so I really wouldn't know, but I don't drink coffee either. And it's not even the only civet to get its brown eye exploited by people. That was a wild sentence. Civets produce a wild sentence, nasty smelling stuff that scientists like to call civet butter. Civets use it to mark their territory, but somehow people figured out they can use its butt glands for perfume, specifically Chanel No. 5. And they get the juices they need by scraping it from the civet's pink balloon knot. So if you have some Chanel on deck and it says natural ingredients on the bottle, there's a good chance it came from, But yeah, civets in general are pretty cool. They can actually be super affectionate when raised by people. And if I had to pick a favorite, I'd have to go with Austin's palm civet. Literally only because I think they're cool looking. I mean, you're gonna tell me I'm wrong?
No, it's cool.
That's 10 animals I've probably never seen before. Except when I was making this list, I was stuck at 11 and could not decide what animal to leave off. But then I realized I have free will, and this is my channel, so y'all get a bonus animal and probably my favorite animal on here.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the tree kangaroo, specifically the good.
I knew this one.
Like the name suggests, this kangaroo's entire personality.
They are really rare.
They're mad
really rare.
But they can jump from a height of 3 stories and fall damage. They're kind of like the cuscus because of where and how they live. A lot of people in the same area as them have no clue.
That's so cute, bro.
Unlike the cuscus, who looks like the drop bear Aussies keep warning
us about. That does not look cute.
The Goodfellow genuinely looks like a tree-loving teddy bear. And it's not just them. There's 14 flavors of branch bears, including the incredibly rare tenkyle, with only hundreds of them alive today. And the Wandiwa tree kangaroo, who scientists genuinely believe went extinct after going off the grid for 90 years. years, until they randomly just popped up out of nowhere. And for y'all that don't understand, it's like the science equivalent of Tupac being alive this entire time in Cuba. Proving that when it comes to nature, the only thing we know for sure is that we really don't know much at all. But that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure to check out my TikTok and Instagram for more uploads.
Oh my god, that's so cute,
and if you'd
bro.
like to support this channel even more, becoming a patron on Patreon.
Hey, go support the homie, man. Go support the homie.
Post them, and you can even help vote on my next video. In fact, if you're already a patron, you probably voted for this one. But like I always say, it's more for like leftover money you're not gonna miss. Don't feel like you have to give anything, because really, if you watched the video this far, you've done more than enough. But make sure you drink water, hug your mother.
Exactly.
I know how many animals I stumped you on. I'm actually curious, and I'm gonna see
I forgot.
y'all
3?
in the next one.
I think I got right. Oh man, that's so cute. That's so cute, bro. But yeah, guys, another phenomenal video by the homie, man. I love his content. You guys know this already. He is phenomenal on what he does, man. Another great video, and he deserves all the support in the world, man. He's great. Before you go, you already know how we do on the channel, bro. Come on, man. Keep God first as always. Drink water, go tell somebody you love them, and if you're here, you know what to do, man. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. My name is Gonzii, and see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.